So positive reinforcement dog training did not work for you, and you're really looking at some of these other methods like balanced dog training or alpha pack mentality. Now, in this video, I really want to talk about why positive reinforcement didn't work for you previously, what you actually need to know about positive reinforcement training moving forward, and hopefully by the end of the video, you have some insight on whether or not positive reinforcement training is the right method for you or not, and where to go from here. So if you're interested in taking a nerdier approach to this conversation, let's get into it. What's up guys, it's Jenna with Dog Liaison, where I coach you on how to enhance your dog's mental health. I'm a professional dog trainer who works exclusively with dogs facing multiple anxiety related disorders in my signature program, the Recovering Rover program. And a lot of times people come to us from using previous methods than the ones that we teach in the RP, which I'll get into in a moment. A lot of times people come to us having experience with other techniques. I think that this is a common thread where people will find new trainers that are in contrast to their previous trainers. And the reason they do that is they usually are looking for a different technique. They had experience with a previous technique and it didn't work well for them with that particular training. And so they're convinced then that they need to change the style. So if you were on balance, then maybe you need to change to alpha. If you were on alpha, maybe you need to go to positive reinforcement. If you're on positive reinforcement, and it just kind of yo-yos you around. But today I really want to talk about why positive reinforcement didn't want to work for you. The first thing we need to understand is that when we say positive reinforcement training, that actually has nothing to do with it was happy and it was friendly and there was rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. I understand wholeheartedly that that is the connotation that gets unfortunately proliferated in the community, and that's usually put off by certain dog trainers that have 3.5 million subscribers. And so it usually gives positive reinforcement the reputation of being the, rainbows and butterflies and sunshine training protocol. The irony of it though is that when we say positive reinforcement, that has nothing to do with it. In fact, most of the positive reinforcement trainers I know are a little bit blunt, they're a little bit sassy, and I would say that they're a little bit like rough around the edges, you know what I mean? And so what positive reinforcement training actually is, it has everything to do with operant conditioning. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive on operant conditioning and all the ins and outs of it in this video because that could just take us on another tangent altogether. But what you need to know for the purpose of this conversation is that operant conditioning is just 4 little boxes. And in each box is a different type of training. That's how you want to think of it. What's actually happening is that each of the boxes are broken down into cause and an effect. A certain cause event occurred, and as a result of that event, a certain effect also occurred. Okay, so each of those boxes is just a cause and effect. In the case of the positive reinforcement box, what that really means is that an event occurred and the individual who did the event, did the behavior, received something that they liked, because statistically speaking, that will encourage the behavior to occur again in the future. The rule of positive reinforcement is if you give something that an individual enjoys as a result of an event, the event is more likely to occur in the future. That's really all that is. These are just basic rules to live by. This is just like a framework to simplify things. But the fact of the matter is that positive reinforcement in its crux works. Positive reinforcement can't not work. In operant conditioning, all 4 of the boxes work by definition. By definition, all of these 4 boxes are cause and effect. So it's not a matter of it did work, it didn't work. Positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment. By definition, they all work because working or not working is not part of the puzzle. That's not a part of what operant conditioning is about. So when we hear positive reinforcement training didn't work, that doesn't really make sense. Because by definition, it does work. It's not a matter of this technique worked and this technique didn't. It's a matter of the person who is delivering the information did not have a full grasp on the content, did not have a full grasp on actually either teaching the technique or implementing the technique or supporting you implementing the technique. And when you think of it that way, suddenly you come away thinking more that the trainer was inept and not necessarily that the style or the technique was inaccurate. Now, personally, I identify as a science-backed trainer, And the science indicates that you can't really get away from all 4 of the quadrants. All 4 of them are working simultaneously in life regardless. So what does this mean for you at home? Well, for starters, it means that I don't want you to say that positive reinforcement didn't work and that positive reinforcement is bad or wrong, because by definition it can't be either of those things. It's just based in operant conditioning, which is a neutral thing. It's objective. Number 2, I really want you to think about who was actually teaching you the skills and are there better professionals out there to do that for you. If you were relying on trainers that perhaps were very commercialized, then they may not be as reliable as someone with the credentials and the quality information that you need. And in that case, it's really about you doing your research, my friend. I really encourage you to dig deep into what you're learning and from whom you're learning, because that is going to make the biggest difference in your success rate, so to speak, in implementing the techniques. Is where are you getting your information from? It requires some research, my friend. It requires some effort. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you like to dig deep into the science of canine cognition, consider subscribing and checking out the rest of my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.